Hello my lovelies, I hope you are all well and enjoying your time at home with your families. I have got a book called Mrs Armitage Queen of the Road, and it is by Quentin Blake, and this is a book I used to read when I was younger, and my mummy and daddy used to read this to me. One morning Mrs Armitage came downstairs and found a letter on the mat. She read it to her faithful dog Breakspear. It said, "Dear Anastasia, because I am buying a new motorcycle, I shall not need my old car anymore. I would like you to have it as a present. It is on the street outside. Here are my keys. With love, from your Uncle Cosmo." There was the car. "It doesn't look very exciting, Breakspear," said Mrs Armitage, "but we'll give it a try." They climbed into the car and off they went. They had not been going very long when they went over a big hole in the road. Bing, bong, dang, boing! All the hubcaps fell off. Mrs Armitage got out to look at the damage. "Hubcaps," she said. "Who needs them?" She took them off to the scrap heap and on they went. As they were going round the corner by the vinegar works, scrunch! The mudguard was ruined. Mrs Armitage got out to look at the damage. "Mudguards," she said. "Who needs them?" She took them off to the scrap heap and off they went. While they were backing out at the scrapyard, she heard scrang! The front bumper had caught on an old bedstead. Mrs Armitage got out to look at the damage. "Bumpers," she said. "Who needs them?" She threw the bumpers on the scrap heap and drove away. They were on their way past the supermarket when a lorry backed into the street. Scrunch! Right into the bonnet. Mrs Armitage got out to look at the damage. "The bonnet," she said. "Who needs it?" She took it off to the scrap heap and on they went. There was quite a traffic jam outside the new building site. There was a big crane that was moving heavy blocks of concrete. It went to and fro, up and down, when suddenly, crunch! Mrs Armitage got out to look at the damage. "A roof," she said. "Who needs it?" She took it off to the scrap heap and off they went. "Breakspear," said Mrs Armitage, "I think it's time for us to get out of this town." They went down a side road to the country. All about them were trees and birds singing. "Breakspear," said Mrs Armitage, "this is blissful." But the road got bumpier and bumpier. Ba-ding, ba-dong, ba-dang, ba-doing, clunk. All the doors fell off, and the boot as well. Mrs Armitage got out to look at the damage. "All of this stuff, Breakspear," she said. "Who needs it? Let's throw it all on the scrap heap, and be on our way." But at that moment there was a roar. It was Uncle Cosmo on his new bike. His friends were there too, Gizzy and Lulu, Fernando and Smudge. They were out for their day's drive. They all gathered round to look at Mrs Armitage's machine. "Wow," said Gizzy, "wherever did you get it? It's fantastic." "We're off to the Crazy Duck Cafe for a game of billiards and a can of banana fizz," said Uncle Cosmo. "You must come too." "But first, have this leather jacket," said Smudge. "I've grown too big to wear it." "Oh, and you must each have a collar," said Lulu. "I don't need all three." "And have one of our bendy masks," said Gizzy. "We don't need them both." And let me give you a motor horn, said Fernando. I don't need all 5 of them, and it's always good to have a motor horn. And off they roared to the Crazy Duck Cafe. Out in front, with her faithful dog Breakspear, was Mrs Armitage, Queen of the Road. And there they all are at the Crazy Duck Cafe.